Hi everyone, it's Michael here again from Tullow Area School Completion Programme. You've done it, you've made it to the last video of our series of 4 videos, so fair play to you for watching the other 3. So thanks a million for doing that. Hopefully at this stage you might have picked up some hints and tips around how to help you with the whole idea of moving from 6th class to 1st year. If you haven't watched the other videos, maybe if you don't mind, just stop this one out and go back and take a look at the other ones, because this won't really make sense if you haven't seen the other ones before it. And again, like we've said before, if you're watching this before the end of term, if you have any questions, make sure and have a pen and paper beside you anyway. But if you're watching this before the end of the term, get your questions to your teacher, and they will do their best to get those questions, to arrange for us to be able to answer those questions. And if you're watching this during the summer, we'll put our email address at the end of the video, and you can send your pictures to that, send your questions to that email address, and we'll do our best to get those questions answered for you as soon as we can. Okay, so today's video is all about step-by-step planning. So what we're going to do today is talk about how to break anything that you want to do into little steps, okay? And for this video, don't forget that we want you to have your helpful or unhelpful thought that you wrote down at the end of session 2, which was video 3. That was the one on helpful and unhelpful thoughts. So we asked you to write down one helpful and one unhelpful thought, and just make sure you have that while we're going through this video. Okay. So the old question is how to eat an elephant. Okay, so if you were asked to eat an elephant, how do you go about doing that? I know it might seem like a mad question, but it'd be a fairly big thing to try and get through. And I mean, you'd be sitting there, it'd be enormous. And by the way, I'm not advocating that anybody goes eats elephants at this point in time. So what's the answer? If you have to do something that's huge, that seems impossible, and that's really difficult. So how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that's why it's so important that we break down whatever plans that we're trying to do into small steps, because that's the only way we can tackle anything that's enormous or difficult to do, is by doing it one step at a time. So, like I said, it's really important to break it into small steps. And it's really important that when we're breaking it into small steps, that we organize those steps into the right order. Okay, so that we know what step 1 is, because what happens if you're on the stairs and you try to jump to step 3 or step 4 first thing, more than likely you'll fall. It's really important that you know where your step 1 is, and that you move from there up the steps in order. So what kind of things can step plans be used for? So they can be used for overcoming a fear. So a lot of the time, even when it comes to starting post-primary school or 1st year, we have certain fears or worries. So a step plan can be used for overcoming that. But not just that, people use them for overcoming fear of flying or all kinds of other fears that they may have. They're really good for social situations. So let's say if we get a bit nervous in crowds, or we find it hard to make new friends or things like that, we can use step plans to help us there as well. Preparing for an upcoming event like an exam, or maybe if you're playing a match, or if you have a concert, if you play an instrument, or if you're a singer and you have to perform, or an actor and you have to perform, getting ready for that and not being too nervous or trying to get organized for it. They can be really useful when we're trying to learn a new skill. Again, just breaking everything down and not focusing on the enormous job that we have at the end, looking at all the little steps we can take to get there. They're really good to help us when we're trying to complete any kind of a task. So it's really important, if you want to get any job done, that we break it down into little steps, particularly if it's something big like cleaning your room or something like that. So it's really important that you break it into little steps. They're really great for when we're trying to work towards something. And also, if we're just trying to fit in, if we're trying to fit in with everybody else, that we, particularly when we start post-primary school or 1st year, and we're trying to fit in with a whole new class and a whole new year, they can be really useful for that as well. So in order to work on our plan, the thing that we need to do is we need to set a goal. And that's where I suppose your helpful or unhelpful thought that you had written down now could be useful. So let's say if either a positive thing or a helpful thing or an unhelpful thing can be changed to a goal. So let's say if I was saying, I'm afraid I get lost. Well, what could be my goal there then? My goal could be then, I'm going to make sure I get to know the school so I don't get lost. Or my goal could be to get to know the full school. So it's kind of a statement of where I want to end up. The same on the helpful thought, I want to do really well on my tests. So then my goal could be to do really well on my tests. And then I use that as a way of planning how to get there and how to get that, to go about that and how to get that to happen. So we need to set a goal. And then the next thing we need to do is just randomly list the steps that I need to take to achieve this goal. So we don't have to put them in order first. We just come up with a few of the steps that it might take to actually achieve that goal. Then the next step is to put them in the correct order. And that takes a bit of thinking as well. So not only do we have to come up with what the steps might be, and some step plans need just 2 or 3 steps, and other step plans need 10, 15 steps. And we have to put them in the correct order. And it's really important that we spend time figuring out what step 1 is. Step 1 isn't always. Sometimes we move straight to step 2 or step 3 without realizing it, and we don't realize that maybe step 1 could be a lot simpler. So step 1 for playing a match or doing well in a match might be just to get your gear on. Step 1 for doing well in school might be just to be in class. So step 1 is really important, and it's a crucial step for all the other steps to work. It's really good to have a powerful thought or a really strong, helpful thought to help move to the next step. I can do this. I'm able to do this. I just need to keep focused. I'm on the right track. This is working really well. So some kind of thought that keeps us moving. Keep focused. Keep doing what you're doing. Whatever it happens to be, it's a thought that keeps us moving in the right direction. We need to reward ourselves for completing each step. Now, a reward doesn't have to be anything expensive. We don't have to spend a lot of money on it. But a reward can just be something like just saying, well done to me, or acknowledging what I've done, or giving myself a kind of a pat on my back. There's lots of ways that we can reward ourselves when we do well. And it's really important when you're moving up along the steps that we acknowledge the progress that we've made, because very often we don't think about what we've actually already achieved. We always focus on what's left to do. And that can get very frustrating because we feel like we've done nothing already. And the reality is, if we look back, we've probably achieved a load of steps already that we haven't even thought about. So what is a goal? So I suppose a definition of a goal is an end toward which effort is directed. So it's somewhere we want to end up, and we're going to put a bit of effort into getting there. And the other definition that I love is it's a dream with a deadline. So in other words, it's something that we really, really want to do or achieve, and we're giving ourselves a limited amount of time to do it. Okay, so we're giving ourselves, it's not just say I'm going to be the best soccer player out there. It's going to be, I'm going to improve this skill in soccer by the end of the summer, or I'm going to learn this by such a date. Okay, so that we always have a deadline or some kind of time in it. That's important because goals need to be smart. Goals need to, so if you look at the letters there, they all stand for something. So goals need to be specific. You need to know exactly what you want, and you need to be very clear about that, because that's really important. They need to be measurable. There has to be some way of measuring whether or not you're doing, because other than that, how do you know that you're succeeding? They need to be achievable. So there's no point having a goal that's just completely not possible to do. So it's really important that we make sure that they're achievable. They need to be relevant. So they need to be relevant to what we're trying to do. So that it's something that's important to us, and that it's something that's worth getting. And they need to be timely. They need to have some kind of time limit on them, because other than that, we just keep dreaming and we don't actually ever end up doing. So it's really important that we have. So if I say I'm going to learn all my verbs in French, I need to give myself a time on that. I'm going to learn them all by Friday, or I'm going to do my French homework by Tuesday. That we have a very clear time on that. So the important thing, what I want you to do now is I want you to have a think about your own coping step plan. So what I want you to do is take out a sheet of paper and basically, sorry, before we do that, I forgot to mention this. So examples could be of goals that we might set. I want to get on well with my tests and my exams. I want to make new friends. I want to know my way around the building. I want to get to know my classmates. So they could be samples of goals, or getting to know my classmates, getting to know my way around the building, getting to make new friends, etc. The other thing is that examples of powerful thoughts. So these are the kind of thoughts that I was saying earlier that we can have. I can do this, just focus on the next step. Don't be thinking too far ahead. Just keep going, take a deep breath and have a go. I'll have it done before I know it. It's not as hard as I think. They're all different examples of, and you probably have loads that you use yourself all the time. Okay, so now it's your turn. So basically what I want you to do is, on a sheet of paper, I want you to draw a little steps of stairs, almost like what we have there on the picture. And at the top of that stairs, I want you to put down what your goal might be. So let's say if your goal is, I want to make new friends in school, you might write that up there. Or your goal might be, I want to do well in maths, let's say. Whatever it happens to be, or I want to get a good job, or I want to go to college. Put that up at the top. And the important thing to know about goals is that sometimes we have short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. And we can do a little set of stairs or a bigger set of stairs for each one of those. So a long-term goal could be, I could want to do really well in my Leaving Cert. A medium-term goal would be then that I want to do well in my Junior Cert. And a short-term goal could be then that I want to do well maybe in my summer tests in first year. So whatever the goal happens to be, just write it down. And then start thinking about the steps that you might have to take to achieve that goal. So let's say if the goal I wrote down was I wanted to get on well in school, get a good Leaving Cert. So what might the steps that I might need to take to achieve that? What might the steps be? So there'd be things like, I have to study. I need to learn all the stuff that I'm taught. I need to listen in class. I need to, I suppose, make sure I have my books and stuff like that with me. And so a lot of people say I need to study, but a lot of people don't really know what that means yet because they haven't done much study as yet. So what makes up study? So study is reading over my stuff, learning what I'm asked to learn, things like that. Okay. So what we need to do then is write all those steps down, whatever we've come up with, and now look at what order they go in. So let's say if somebody's saying to me, I want to do well on my Leaving Cert. Well, the first step to that really for me is turn up for school, be in class, because if you're not in class, you won't learn anything. You won't be there to learn whatever the teacher is teaching. Step 2 then probably would be to listen in class and to hear what the teacher is teaching, because again, you're not going to learn much if you don't do that. Step 3 then is probably going to be write down any homework you're given. Step 4 could be to ask questions and make sure that you understand whatever you're doing in class. Step 5 might be then to go home and do the homework and make sure that you have your homework done. And to be honest, I would say to a lot of people, if you want to do really well in your Leaving Cert, the secret to that is actually just to do your homework that you're given every single day during school, or when you're given it during school, because generally the teachers are giving you homework that will help you revise stuff and relearn stuff. So when you come to look back over it or study at the end of the year, you've already got it all done. Or you haven't missed bits maybe back from second year or first year. If you're in third year, you've already done it at the time you were supposed to do it. So there are a few steps that you could take, and all of a sudden getting a good Leaving Cert becomes a lot easier, and it becomes something that you can do on a day-to-day basis. If somebody had put down that they, as their goal, that they want to make friends. So again, their goal could be, I want to make a few new friends in my class, or I want to get to know people in my class. So first step on that could be just to say hello to people and make sure not to be the quiet one that doesn't say anything. Second step might be to ask at least 3 people how they are, where they came from, you know, what school did they come from, and maybe something about their hobbies. Then the next step could be to ask another 3 or 4, then, you know, or to get to know 10 people by the end of October or near Halloween break, and to get to know 15 in my class by the end of or by Christmas. And so bit by bit, we can build up our steps. And the important thing is, when we're looking at step 1, is that we keep it simple, even if we need to. So what do I actually say to the people? Do I just say hello? Do I say hiya? Work all that out for yourself so that it makes it easier, so that you don't have to be worrying at that point in time when you're trying to do it. So basically, it's really important, maybe if you take the minute now or a few minutes to go through what your goal is and what are the steps that you need to take to achieve that goal, and what order those steps need to go in. So just remember, when we're looking at step planning, establishing step 1 is crucial. It's really, really important to make sure that you start there each time. It's always very important to acknowledge what you've already achieved, because sometimes you're already halfway up the ladder, or you're halfway up the stairs and you don't even realize it. Trying to move forward too quick will only lead to failure. So don't try and move to step 6 or 7 if you haven't done step 3 or 4 yet, because very often that's what gets people to give up or just to not do it anymore. Make sure the steps are simple and small and measurable. Break it down into the simplest steps that you can and keep them fairly small, that you're not trying to jump too far on the next step. Make them as measurable as possible. So how will I know that I've got to know 3 people in my class? Or how will I know I've said hello to them? Because they'll probably say hello to me back. Or how will I know that I got to know the name of 4 people in my class? Or that they know my name? Is because I'll remember it the next day, or they'll remember mine. How will I know I'm doing well in Irish? Because my test results will be fairly good. So there's different ways that we can measure how we're doing. So make sure that any step that you're making is as measurable as possible. So again, that's the end of this video. And thanks again for listening. And like that, if you have any questions or concerns, just get your parent to email them to us at tullowscp@gmail.com if it's after term. If we're still in term, just send them to your teacher, and your teacher will forward them on to us. This is the end of our 4-video series that we did for people moving from 6th class to 1st year. If you think there are other videos that you would like us to put up, if you found this helpful and there are other themes or topics, and again, hopefully you've watched this video with your parent, and your parent might also have some ideas, some videos, then please do email us and we'll try and do our best to organize that video. Like I said in video number 1, in the introductory video, the hope is that at some stage that we will have a questions and answer session to follow these videos, hopefully either organized by your teacher within term time, or else organized by us if it's during the summer holidays. And hopefully before the end of the summer, we'll be able to arrange a face-to-face meeting with you as well. So we might be able to get an opportunity, as the lockdown eases, to meet you somewhere, either in your old primary school or somewhere else, and maybe do some of this work again with you, or go through some of your questions again, or help you look at some of the elements that you might be thinking about or worrying about. I suppose the important thing to remember, and hopefully what we've tried to explain to you throughout the videos, is there's nothing to worry about. Everybody that's starting 1st year is going to be in the same boat, particularly this year. Everybody's going to be nervous. Everybody's going to be worried. Everybody's going to be excited as well. So the thing is, don't think you're on your own. Don't think that you're feeling differently to others, because you're not. And the thing is, it's an exciting time. It's great fun. And look, if we don't hear from you again, and if you've enjoyed these videos, wish you the very, very best of luck in 1st year. For those of you going to the community school, I'll see you up there in September. And for everybody else, the very best of luck with your new school. So again, thanks so much for watching. Take care and goodbye.